All right. Good morning. Romper bomper stomper boo, huh? Oh, who in the world? Who is the person who told me to get up at 7:30? Not to get up. I've already been up, but good morning. Yeah, early for me anyway. Hey. I'm gonna sneeze, so excuse me. I don't mean to be rude. I just want to. I can't even mute this. It's kind of goofy. Here, excuse me. Ah, excuse me. All right. Good morning, everybody. Beth here. Beth, Destination Decluttered. Got a bit of a head cold, so nose cold maybe. I don't know, but I'm here for you for the next hour. Actually, 8 till 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, and I am here to help you with your clutter and your stuff. I feel like my nose is a little bit cluttered up with stuff that doesn't belong there. But if we haven't met, hey, it's Beth. Um, if you have, you maybe know the routine. So I am a decluttering life coach, and what I do is I help you not only get decluttered, but find out why you got kind of, what habits you had that got you cluttered in the first place so that you also learn new habits to stay decluttered. I'm always thinking of like this giant pile of clutter here. I always, I'm noticing my hand movement. So I've got this giant pile of clutter that is before you. If you look behind me, you'll see this like map pin right here. So you're here today in your life, and through your life you've accumulated some stuff that you maybe don't know what to do with, or you're struggling to do with it, or you kind of know what you want to do with it, just pitch it all maybe, but you're just not there yet. And what I want to help you do is to kind of on many levels make space in your life for what's important to you. So how do you do that? Well, you ideally will look at what you have now and say, oh, does this work for me? Does this make my life easier, better, whatever? It stays. What's this thing? Good morning, Pam Stone from Maryland. Tracy, Kathy, I see some folks coming in. Welcome, welcome. So keeping the stuff that you like and you love and makes your life useful and better, but then also just taking a look at this stuff, and I mean this like kind of in habits, in the ways you speak to yourself, the way you do things, but also your physical items in your home that don't work for you anymore. They may work for somebody else. The clothing that doesn't fit you, I bet will look good on somebody else's body. The rice cooker or something that you got that you thought, I'm going to make all these great meals that you realize you use maybe once a year, doesn't, you know? So I love this. So KW Design says, my mom and my grandmother were mild hoarders. I live in chaos. Actually, it's funny. You spelled it Kaos, but I had a client say they had chaos, CHAOS, can't have anyone over syndrome, which I thought was crazy because she was so cluttered. She didn't want to have people over her house. What I want to offer is to try so hard not to repeat. KW Designs. I want to empower you. I want to encourage you and say, good for you to realize that the people in your life that kind of showed you or didn't show you, they illustrated through their actions and their deeds what you could do with stuff. And then for you to notice that where you are, you're in chaos and you're trying so hard to not repeat it, that you're repeating what they did. And what I want to offer is I have found both in my own kind of coaching journey and my own life, and also helping others, that really kind of turning like a lens inward and saying, how did I get here? Why do I do this? And it can be anything from a deep-seated, oh, we didn't have enough as a kid, so I am hanging on to things because I want to feel secure that I do have stuff, to as, oh, you know what? I just have this random habit that I do, that when I come in the house, I have to pee so bad, I throw my stuff up and throw it on the floor, and then I just don't go pick it up. Sounds like me. And what I want to offer is, won't go to my mom's house because it gives me anxiety. My mother's house is very cluttered, and one of my sisters struggles with her house, I will admit. But the cool thing is that you can get a handle on your clutter without having to go to your mom's house, And here's my life coaching take on it. Now, I have been a cluttered person. I am a collector. I am not one of those people like perfect and high on top of the mountain who says my house looks like, a Pinterest page and I've always been neat and tidy. No, I mean, I know how to make things look good on the surface in a hot minute, but behind the scenes, I struggled. What I want to offer is think about how you think about your clutter. Everybody, think about how you think about it. Is it going to be hard? Is it going to be whatever? Why do I have this? You got to pay, you don't gotta. I always say you gotta. If you would like to make change, one of the ways you can do this is by paying attention to what you think about your clutter. What you think about your clutter makes you feel a certain way. And when you feel a certain way, you typically do a certain thing, like you react to your feeling. So if you say, oh, I can't get rid of that 102-year-old pump organ that my grandmother, you're going to think, what do I do with this? And then your internal is like, I don't know. And you think, I don't know, therefore I can't do anything, therefore it sits there. If you change the way you think about your clutter, and this just doesn't apply to clutter, it applies to your life. If you think about things in a different way, it opens up some opportunities that some thoughts might come through. But what if you did know what to do with it? What if you had to tell me you're going to do something with it? What would it be? I'm the only child. Her mess will be my mess someday. So here's what I want to offer. Start making a plan now about what you're going to do with her stuff in the inevitable. So it's going to come down to you. So already get clear in your mind what of hers you want in her home, what you don't. Maybe even right now, you're not going to hasten her demise by making a plan, but saying to yourself, what plan can I put in place if my mother doesn't change and she remains cluttered? I'm a daughter with a cluttered mother, so I get it. What am I going to do when she passes? What am I going to do with all her stuff? And my sister and I have already talked about it, having an auction house come in, doing some, whatever. To have a plan in place so you have peace of mind that when it happens, that you're not trying to problem solve about her stuff when the emotion of her demise comes along. Okay, so I hope that helps. What do I want to offer? Need to get motivated to tackle the clutter. Yes, motivation. Yeah, here's the motivation. This is how I motivate myself. And this is how this was really a game changer for me. So I want to offer this, that it's like, okay, see behind me, for those of you who don't, haven't tuned in before, maybe you have, I'm always pointing to these 2 pins on this metaphorical kind of road trip map. Okay. So what I want to offer is, instead of saying, now what do I need to do today to move forward? Before you even start, why are you doing it? Why do you want to get decluttered? And your why, and I kind of hate that because I really kind of, some of the self-help terms and coaching and things like that really rub me the wrong way. So I like to think of it as, what is your destination? If you're going to start today and you're going to be working towards something, decluttering, what are you headed towards? What do you want? In really simple terms, what do you want your home to look like? And I know decluttered is the first word. Yeah, you can use that. But after that, getting really specific on, your, what you want your home to look like, what you want your home to feel like, what specific things do you want in every single room? Go through your room and take some notes. That is, and you want to feel a certain way. It's like neat and tidy is cool, but why do you want it to be neat and tidy? What I want to offer is when you get clear on why you're doing it, about how great it's going to be, that you deserve to live in a decluttered home, that you can do things to do it, that can be the motivation. And I'm not saying that just inventing this, what do I want to say? Inventing a destination is going to make it easy peasy, but it's going to make it so much better to remind yourself you're not doing it because you have to, you're doing it because you want to. That you're doing it, you're putting in this effort to get a result that you are looking forward to. And when you want that result, you're going to be more likely to show up after the novelty is worn off, when it gets sticky, when it gets hard. If you're not doing it, ask yourself why you're not doing it. Okay, I have doom piles and it drives me crazy that I try and it is a cycle. Okay, Mrs. M 1223. Yeah, it's a cycle. Break that cycle. You got to break the cycle. Get some new habits. And I don't mean that just in general, but doom bags and doom piles are a cycle. So what you could do even today in a habit, you could take one of your doom piles And here are some things. And when I hear doom piles, I think there might be a bit of ADHD happening. I get it because I have it in myself. I've got it in my family. I have it in my clients. Not all of them, but many of them. And so a few things that have helped my ADHD clients kind of break some of their chains or at least become aware of stuff is use the timer on your phone to chunk down the overwhelm of your stuff. What does that mean? That means, yeah, you look all around, you're like, oh my gosh, this place is so cluttered. I'm going to, and I apologize, my nose is running like a faucet. I was going to say running like a sieve, but that doesn't work. Where was I? Your timer. Your timer allows you to get some time to say, I'm kind of overwhelmed by the amount of clutter and the amount of time my brain is telling me it's going to take. But today I'm going to show up for 20 minutes and I'm going to work on something. I'm going to do something different. So I would suggest taking one of those doom piles, set a timer for 20 minutes and start to undoom them. Now, for those of you who don't know, doom pile is kind of a funny word, and it also kind of gives you that, feeling like that's feeling of doom. It's an acronym for didn't organize, only moved. So when you didn't organize it, the way that you break the chain, the way that you break that cycle is to take one of your doom piles, just one of them, chunk it down. See, instead of all of them, you say today for 20 minutes, I'm going to work on one of them and I'm going to organize them. That one pile. And organizing means categorizing. Organizing means putting whatever the categories happen to be of that pile. Now, oftentimes when I hear pile, I think of piles of paper because some things aren't as easy to pile up. And papers usually tend to fall into certain categories. The top three I seem to find are papers that have come in through the mailbox. So that's going to be bills you need to pay, bills you've already paid, and important papers that look like something I should read, but I'm probably not going to, but I should probably keep them anyway. Like, definitely don't try to get your Dymo tape label and do that, but you know what I mean. Like, you get the big thing from your insurance company or your credit card or something. Like, here's all this fine print, and you're like, yeah, I probably should read that someday, but I'm not going to, so then I file it, right? So today, one pile, 20 minutes, organize it. You will have then broken the cycle of a doom pile. And then the other thing too is that's the decluttering part of it. That is the breaking down of the already accumulated clutter. What I want to say is then get curious about your habits. Everybody, we can all benefit by getting curious about our habits. I have habits all the time. I'm a freaking walking habit machine, like I'm sitting here at my desk and it may be 80 degrees today. I've still got a little blanket on my lap and that, makes me feel kind of secure and cozy because I worked in an office that was freezing for years, you have habits too. We all have habits. Our habits can either get us to where we want to, or they get into the way of us getting there, right? So the next time you start to create a doom pile, maybe stop yourself and organize the stuff before it gets big, And I like this. Socialist Kitten just said, mother-in-law dumps her stuff at her house because she feels better that it's going to somebody. And then the daughter-in-law just donates it somewhere else. That can be a process too. I mean, the great thing is you're not becoming, what do you call it? Stuck with her stuff. So that's great. And as you can see, because somebody else just said, my aunt will drop off old blankets, stained clothes, and no match socks. Yeah, you know what? Here's the deal, you guys. When I coach, I help people discover their stuff story. Like, what's your stuff story? What's your relationship to things and clutter and what you can keep and what you can throw away and what you can recycle and all that? Everybody's got a story in their head about it. And so many people, like 99.9% of the population, are totally unaware of it. So she probably doesn't even realize quite what she's doing or why she's doing it. But you can do something about it. When it lands to you, you can do something about it. Somebody's mentioning taking pictures of things to have memories of it. Yes, I have a client I'm so excited. She's having wonderful success with that process. It is enabling her to go through her sentimental items and share the stories and take the pictures. And I am just super delighted when people find things that work for them. So taking pictures can work. Yeah. Hey, what else do we got? Donate or eBay. I struggle. Okay, here's what I do. I put a couple of factors into play. I go onto eBay and see what people have actually paid for the thing I'm thinking of selling. right? So then you get a number, you get a ballpark number, and not necessarily, you almost like take out the high and the low, you knock those two out, come to a median about what people are paying for that item. And then you say to yourself, what is my time worth? Is it worth my time to do all the steps to get the money from eBay? You know, is, photographing the thing, writing the description, uploading it, answering questions, packaging it up, getting the payment, insuring it, taking it to get sold, whatever, all those things. Is it worth it to you? I can't answer that for you. I can tell you that I, at a certain point, literally was able to help pay my rent when I was able to sell some things on eBay. This was really on, God, this was like 20 plus years ago, eBay wise. But I since have changed, and I have other ways to pay my rent. And also, I think of eBaying stuff and I'm like, oh my God, that's such a pain in my butt that I would much rather donate items. Now, if you feel like you have things that are worth some money and you want to donate them, but you don't want to donate them to your general, what do you call it? Thrift store down the road, maybe look into your neighborhood, your county, your town to see if there is a thrift store or someplace where you can donate your items that the money that they make from it goes to a good cause. Now, I luck out in the fact that where I live, we have a historical society that I'm a big fan of because I love historical stuff. More like mid-century modern, like Art Deco, like 20th century things, but it's history. And what I realized is they get donations and they have often had these kind of yard sales, but then they just recently in the past few years started doing online sales, auctions. So I donate things that I know that they could get some money from to them so they can get the money, where do you begin? I look at it all over and hubby likes to hang on to stuff. Okay, so Swim Lady 82, we are going to have a really hard time changing our partners. Have you tried? If you've had success, let me know. My husband is freaking awesome. And yet even I and he have different opinions about stuff and things. What I can offer is start with yourself first. Start with your own stuff first. Start with how you think about his clutter. I don't know. Why does it piss you off? Like what, you know what I mean? Like get curious about how you think about your clutter and how what you think about it makes you feel. And I will offer this too as one, because this is often the number one thing that comes up in one of these TikTok lives. And just really quick, I want to talk about overwhelm. But in the meantime, if you haven't liked my my Destination Decluttered Instagram TikTok page, where the hell am I? TikTok page. If you could like my page, I do these lives quite often when I am not traveling, and I will so you get notified when I go live, and I can help you with these things. So if you could do that, I think it also boosts me with like the amplification of the algorithm with TikTok. So if you could and follow my page, that would be great. I also have an email mailing list you can get onto that you get a habit tracker that you can print out that I use all the time. Where is mine? Right here. You can print it out and use that. And then also I do a once a month, only people on my mailing list get invited to this once a month group Zoom call that I do. So that's a reason for you to get onto my mailing list. And then also I do one-on-one coaching. You can sign up for a consultation. Oh yeah, you get on the mailing list. I forgot this yesterday. You get on the mailing list by going to destinationdecluttered.com. And you also can sign up for a consultation by going to destinationdecluttered.com. Okay. All right, enough of that. What I want to offer is overwhelm. Overwhelm. I look at it all. Don't look at it all. I mean, look at it all and then be like, okay, I need to start somewhere. And then you focus on where you can start. So the opposite of overwhelm for anything, you guys, the opposite of overwhelm is chunking it down. Is taking what you are overwhelmed by and saying, how small can I make this so I can start? Because if you look at it all, like when I look at a map of the United States and I know I want to drive to California from the East Coast, if I look at the whole thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a really long time. That's going to be taking me a wicked long time. And I don't want to start. But if I say, okay, I have X many days, how much can I drive each day and how long will it take me? That makes it a little bit more reasonable. That makes me feel better about it. Feels like I can do something, and then I do something. Okay? So don't get overwhelmed with the overwhelm. Childhood trauma is bad. Hold on to the things, very sentimental, but I know decluttering is cathartic. Yeah, decluttering can be cathartic. It can be, but you need to be in the right space for it. I would say this: I have learned to untraumatize my history by easily, well, not easily, but decluttering things that tell me bad stories. You know. Also, when you declutter, is healing yourself so you don't repeat it again. You know. Um, can you share what notes you take in that notebook daily? Oh, sure. Yeah. Yes, I can do this. So what I do is I have two notebooks that I use to kind of run my life. I use a variety of things. I'm Gen X, so I am kind of half, 1 foot in the paper world and 1 foot in the digital world, because I also have, and I'm looking at it right now, an online kind of note taker keeper thing that I use called Trello. I use the free version. I don't use a lot of their bells and whistles, but it keeps me organized. So what I do with my notebook is every day, and I can show you this right now, is on one side of the page, I will do kind of like a brain dump of the things I want to get done for that day, or the things that pop into my mind, right? And then what I do on the other side of it is I will write down the day, and I fold mine in the middle. You don't need to do this, but this is to remind me of what's going on in my regular life and what's going on in my coaching life. And what this is every hour of the day, I write that down, and I just kind of rough it out. I put some blocks in there, from like 12 to 1, I have a consultation. From 6 to 7, I have coaching. From 10:15, I've got a class, just so I see how busy my days are, because in between those blocks there can be time. And when I left that up to my head, I realized I was over imagining how much time certain things took. So I was like, I can't do that today. I don't have the time, even though I had the time, and the thing that I needed to do literally could take me 1 minute. So I call this breeze blocking. I also have a way of organizing kind of what category my stuff goes into, so I know that I'm focusing on the important stuff first. I've learned to train myself to get better at prioritizing, to say which is the most important thing for me to do today, because I really want to make progress in a lot of areas of my life. And then the great thing is that it's nothing that I keep. I cross out the stuff when I'm done, and I get this great kind of like high five, congratulations, I did the good thing. I also then will use this as my like daily, like this is the good stuff I did today. And so I'll repeat and I'll write down some of those things to, again, give myself that dopamine reward that my body, having ADHD, doesn't necessarily organically produce. So I give myself opportunities to practice being organized, practice prioritizing, and I give myself wins. And this helps me get more stuff done than ever before in my life. Okay. That's kind of a little thing. I was thinking about maybe doing like a free kind of 1 hour like workshop at some point, to sit down with folks like on Zoom, about doing that. If I do that, I'm going to send it out to float the idea to the people on my email mailing list. So if you're on my mailing list, know about that. Oh gosh, we get a whole bunch of emails. There we go. There you go. Yep. German made, brain dump once a week, categorize which things need to be done, add it to my schedule. So to me. It's great minds think alike. Here we go. Ooh, all sorts of stuff. I feel like I'm doing the, what is it, on the Price is Right. I'm spinning the wheel, What else do we have here? Okay, there we go. I think I've caught up here. Good morning. Just wondering how I can start cleaning out my guest room. Piling up to the ceiling. Overwhelming. Okay, I love it. Overwhelm means you start by chunking it down. And I'm going to do a video today after I get done with a lot of stuff and I take a shower. I will do a video. And I want to just offer to you right now before the video, there are 3 ways you can chunk down overwhelm, 3 different approaches. One is you can look at working on it for a certain amount of time. So you don't get overwhelmed. You say, I'm just going to go in there for 20 minutes and do what I know how to do here. You know what to do with many of those things. The other thing is spatially. I'm going to go in and just do that one room, but I'm going to start in this corner and maybe in this corner for 20 minutes, right? If that seems too restrictive for you, you say, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into that room and I'm going to pick out anything from one of these 3 categories. I'm going to start with, these are the 3 categories of clutter. You've got surface, sentimental, and stored. I'm going to go into that guest room and I'm going to take out anything that is surface clutter. Stuff that I know where it goes, it just isn't where it's supposed to be. And that could be the trash, it could be recycling, it could be donations, it could be it belongs in another room, and I'm going to deal with that stuff. Okay? A little bit at a time. If it's piled up to the ceiling, you can unpile it from the ceiling. And luckily, the cool thing is that it may have been that way for a while, but you can chip away at that 20 minutes a day and you can make progress. I will say this, the pace you take, the quickest way to get to your destination and just be there is to show up for more time and do it. It's like driving on a road trip. I don't want to say do it until you're exhausted and you never want to show up again. But the more time you show up and do it, the sooner your room is going to start to look decluttered. Okay? Piles of clothes are my worst habit. Okay, so here's an interesting thing. With clothes, now clothes are typically the second level. Clothes are typically stored clutter. And what I want to offer is, I love that you say it's a habit to pile your clothes and get yourself, if I asked you, like, why do you, and I ask with curiosity, I don't know, why do you pile your clothes? Why don't you put them away? And I have a client that does this, and she said, well, it's because there's no room in my bureau for me to put my clothes away. And I said, okay, well, why is there no, let's follow, let's be Nancy Drew. Let's follow the clues. Why isn't there any room in your bureau to put away? Well, because it's full of stuff. Well, is it clothes that you wear? Because here's the interesting thing. The clothing that you wear, the clothing that you like, the clothing that fits you metaphorically and physically and makes you feel good, that's the clothes that's usually in kind of a cycle. Okay, it's in the spin cycle, it's in the drying cycle, it's on your body, and then whatever. So the clothes that tend to be staying in the bureau are typically ones you're not wearing all the time. So get curious about why you're not wearing some of your clothes, and the ones you're not wearing, maybe you can donate some of them so there is room for your clothes. So this is what I do. This is why it was so funny to me as an art history major and a creative person for decades of my life. At the very tail end of my corporate career that I reluctantly took on to pay the mortgage, I was put in a position of being a process engineer. Now, the funny thing is I wasn't anything I was trained on, so I thought it was kind of foolish that they put me in this role. But my brain can work that way, is looking at what's the next step, and then backwards, what's the next step? Like, why did this break down? And it's kind of fun to take the emotion out of it and just get curious. Like, why isn't it working? Like, why is this machine not working the way you think it is? There you go. See? Mrs. M123 says, I've been doing a half-hour long timer, then breaks. It helps a lot. See? It helps a lot. Who is that? Oh, Faith No More. Yeah, sorry, I'm a Gen Xer. I burst out into random songs all the time. I think I got it from my dad. Pam Stone says, I feel paralyzed by the amount of clutter in my home office. Break it up. Breaking it up really helps. Yes, it does. It's the only way you do it. It's the only way you can, is to chunk things down. Break it up. Break down that overwhelm to down and chunk it up. And now I feel like David Byrne saying, how did I get here? Right? But yes, it's really the answers, you guys, the answers I just want to share with you. They're really simple. You just have to do them. And I don't mean that in like a task mastery way, but if you're not doing them for your own benefit, get curious as to why you're not doing them. Okay? How do you get motivated when you're purely just lazy or ADHD paralysis? Well, let me ask you this, Luna. When you call yourself lazy, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel motivated? Maybe not. I mean, I call myself lazy, but I call myself efficient. Sometimes I am just tired. I don't want to do it. But if you have ADHD paralysis, find a way, use the tools you have. Use the tools you have. But I want to offer to everybody, don't talk down to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't say, oh, I'm just lazy. Oh, there's no help. Just forget it. I'm done. There's no hope for me. Don't do that kind of stuff. I'm not saying you did that, but specifically, but what I want to offer is, it just does you no good. It just makes you feel like crap. When you think I'm lazy, you feel, ugh, I'm lazy. That is a bad connotation. And then you probably do nothing, right? And now I'm not saying to be like yippee skippy and like, doing stuff all the time. But you can say, I can relax. I deserve to relax and read a book. There you go. I emptied my sink this morning and loaded the dishwasher in 7 minutes. See, I have dishes in the sink that I need to get to, but see, sometimes it doesn't take as much as it does. So get curious about what is happening when you are not decluttering. Get curious about the thoughts that are going through your head that are causing you to show up to do it, but also the thoughts, what I call your backseat driver thoughts, that cause you to avoid doing it. Just moved and trying to get settled, and I'm so overwhelmed. Dawn, overwhelm. It's literally, if I was at Pee-wee's Playhouse, I would be screaming real loud all the time, because overwhelm is like the number one word. And what I want to offer to you and everybody, the opposite, the antidote to overwhelm, where it's over you, is to bring it down in front of you and say, I can't do anything about all of it until I deal with one thing. So what's one thing you can do today to get settled so you won't feel so overwhelmed? And then tomorrow you show up and you recommit to doing it and you do a next thing and then the next thing and the next thing. It can get really boring, people. It can. I'm not going to deny it. It's like a road trip. You start out all gung-ho and then you get exhausted and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck in the like Midwest and I still don't even know where the Pacific Ocean is, but you got to keep on driving. Okay. All right, the other Katie Taylor says, I struggle with getting rid of things because I feel like I need them or will have to replace them. Well, if you need them and you use them, then you don't get rid of them because you need them and you use them. Now, if you think you might need them and you think you might use them, give yourself an opportunity. Get a piece of painter's tape, get a Post-it note, a pen, slap a date on it from 6 months from today and say, use this thing in 6 months. And if you haven't used it in 6 months, ask yourself, when do you actually think you're going to use it? And what I want to offer is if you donate it and you realize you need it later, I bet you can borrow it from somebody, whatever it is. And yeah, you got to recommit every day. Every day I get up. Like I just started, I'll share with you guys, I just started this new app that my husband was on for his Noom for eating, losing some weight. I gained some weight over the menopause and the COVID. And I was like, I would like to feel more comfortable in my clothes. And so I'm doing it, and sometimes it's working, and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm like, oh, can't this just be done? It's not working, but I'm gonna stick to it when it's not easy. So I'm recommitting the fact that I'm worth giving it a shot. I start but don't finish. I put away laundry and still leave a few items in the basket. Ask yourself why you do that. I can't answer it. You got to get curious. We all have to get curious about ourselves. And what are the things that we do that get us the life we want? And what are the things we do that keep us stuck in the life we don't want? You know, throwing away kids' stuff, drawings, etc. You know what's really random is I really think that there is a thing in these current past 30 to 40 year generation about keeping everything that your kid did. Now, I may sound like a crabby Gen Xer who doesn't have a lot of that stuff from her childhood, but I want to say, like, it seems instead of a joy, it seems more like a burden on the parents, on the moms, on the kids. So I want to offer, like, get curious why you're saving it. Ask your kid if they want it, because I'm dealing with clients who have kids now who are like, why did you save all this stuff? I don't want it, you know? So get close, you know? And, oh, so many things, so many good things here, people. All right, it's 8:02. I'm here for the next half hour. My name is Beth, Destination Decluttered. Let me do a little top of the hour type thing like I used to do in college radio. So I want to offer, if you haven't liked my Destination Decluttered TikTok page right here, please give it a like, a share, or whatever. If you know somebody who's struggling with clutter and they're not on TikTok, please know that I also show up on Facebook, Destination Decluttered, Instagram, Destination Decluttered, and YouTube, Destination Decluttered. With those other places, I also, especially on the Destination Decluttered YouTube channel, I will often record these lives and I will upload them there because folks have told me that they find listening to these lives helpful while they are decluttering, kind of running on in the background, right? So you can listen to a previous one that may be new to you and get some decluttering done. The other thing is that I have an email mailing list. You can get on that at destinationdecluttered.com. I do one-on-one coaching via Zoom for a 10-week package. You can find out about that and scheduling a consultation with me at destinationdecluttered.com. And I think that's about it. I'm going to take some tea. Get a cold. What else do we have here? What else we got going here? Okay. Not enough hangers? Buy some hangers. Don't know where to start? Start with surface clutter in one corner for 20 minutes. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't allow everybody. We choose to allow ourselves to feel overwhelmed, makes us feel powerless. When you say I'm overwhelmed, you're giving your power up to just a thought of overwhelm. Take your power back. Take your power back from the overwhelm and be like, no, motherfucker, I got this. I'm going to see, this is when I do this. If you haven't seen me, I have this, I got little globes. I like travel. I like maps and stuff. So overwhelm feels like the world over your head, right? It's only a feeling. You can change that. You can bring it down and be like, no, I'm above you. I'm the boss of you. And I'm going to say, I'm going to chunk it down. Okay. Do not give your power away to overwhelm. Get into action. Get into action that's going to get you where you want to go. You know? Interesting. My donation bags hang out in my trunks for a good 9 to 12 months. I wonder why. Why are you not donating it? Just donate it today. Literally 10XSEA. Just donate it. And if you don't, get curious why you're not donating it, you know? There you go. When I'm stuck, I get a buddy to help motivate me. So Arlene mentions this, and I want to offer that that I tend to end up erroneously, or not erroneously, it's a wrong word. Kind of like as a byproduct, I tend to be people's like what do they call body doubling with ADHD. A lot of my videos and when I do these TikTok lives, that's how it is. I've also just sat in the room while somebody else does stuff and helps them concentrate. But that I don't do that in person anymore. But I bet if I was doing like my Zoom calls with one-on-one clients, if they said, "Hey, can you just be there while I declutter?" Of course, I would say yes. Just moved. Oh, I love it. Just moved and so overwhelmed with it all. Yep. Struggle with getting things. Start, don't finish. What else? I notice people, what did you say? Order things on, people order things on Amazon because they can't find it. Yeah. And what I want to offer is, that's one of the reasons why decluttering will save you money, because you're not buying things, you know? I started getting into the keeping or collecting mode years ago after my husband's big layoff. Yeah. I am a collector. I love having collected, and I very judiciously collect now. But I find joy in other things right now. I am saving one bin per child to look through when I want. I'm sappy. Nothing wrong with being sappy, but just knowing why you do it not justifies it, but you know, you've got your reasons. So if it's not clutter. So if it lights you up, here's the difference. Clutter doesn't add to the delight of your life. Clutter takes away from the joy. Clutter weighs you down instead of lighting you up. If you're saving stuff because you love it, it's not clutter. It's not clutter. Okay? Yeah, I tried to send my daughter stuff home with her. She said to toss the stuff. You know why? Because you saved it probably for you versus her. What I want to offer with everybody with kids too, this might be a fun way to get your kids, because here's the deal, is we all wish we were better at decluttering. Decluttering is decision making. Decluttering is making decisions about your stuff that align with the person you are and you want to be. And it is a life skill. And many of us don't have practice doing it because we were never taught how to do it or things like that. What I want to offer is get your kids involved sooner rather than later. Ask them. Like, I love this because I have a couple of clients who have younger children and are already struggling with this stuff, and the kids are really little. And I said, start to create a habit, a pattern, a tradition in your family that even if you're saving this stuff throughout the year, how about at the end of the school year, you sit down with your kid and you make it fun and you go through what they did and you talk with them and you make a memory of going through this stuff and you ask them if they want to save any of these things. You know, so your daughter doesn't want the stuff, that's okay. But ask, and if they say no, don't guilt them into saving it, okay? Break that cycle of hanging on to stuff because of fear, obligation, guilt. Don't those feelings just feel crappy? I say yes. All right. My mom, sister, and teenage daughter are major hoarders. Interesting to find out why they are and maybe why you're not. Yeah, I have clutter in my family too, on various degrees. And I know one of the reasons I am now a decluttering coach is because I grew up in a cluttered home, you know? So just getting curious about that. Suzette saying her husband is a hoarder. They say it's genetic. I want to say a lot of it is subconscious learned behavior to know how to react to stuff, you know? Leanne, you're in Southern California. Can a sister refer me to someone out here? Now, I think you're thinking specifically of somebody who may come to your home and help you with that. That is going to be best served by you Googling. There's like there's many ways that you can do that to get specific to your geographic area. I do one-on-one coaching via Zoom. So I do help people in every state of the country. So if you're interested in Zoom coaching, but I do not come to your house, I coach on Zoom. So if you're interested in that, go to destinationdecluttered.com, sign up for a consultation. Right? And I want to offer, Gen X hangs on to stuff, millennials wants experiences instead of stuff. But you know what? I want to offer that if the stuff that you hang on to is not bringing you joy, you can also release it regardless of what generation you are. They also talk about grand millennials, like millennials that are like loving their grandma's stuff. Many of us have stories about our clutter and stuff. And some of it is kind of a global or more a broader picture painted by whatever generation we are. But also it has to do with who we grow up with, how we grew up. Did we have enough stuff? Did we not have enough stuff? How did the people that we grew up with grew up. You grow up, you know? So what I want to offer is get curious about it. Sit down with yourself, get quiet, and say, why do I do this? And listen for the answer. Because your answer, and the answer isn't, I don't know. I don't know is not an answer. It's just a placeholder. That's your brain trying to throw something in your way so you don't get to the truth. What I want to offer is when you figure out why you do it, you can change why you do it. Yeah. My mom wants to save everything for us when she passes. It's hard telling her we don't want it. What I can do, do it with love, and you can say, well, give it, there's different ways to deal with it depending upon the relationship. If you know you don't want it, you can also disassociate from it. If it makes her feel better to do it, and you know that when she's gone, you're going to do something else with it, if it makes it easier while she's here, then do it, Yeah. And, yep. I tried to tell her, give it to us now. Yeah, everybody's got their story. Everybody's got their story. And what I want to say is, if you can't do it, what I was going to say? I lost my train of thought. I apologize. All right. Well, you know what? This is what I call it when my husband's telling a story and he climbs up the tree and he goes out on a branch and he falls off. I just fell off the tree. So what I want to offer is I moved in November. My house is still half packed. Okay. It's also still unpacked, half unpacked. So start now. Start again. Nothing wrong with starting today. Okay. I don't finish because honestly, I don't feel like it. Okay. Why don't you feel like it? If you want to get out of it, like if you don't feel like it, you really don't feel like it and you shouldn't care. You'll be like, whatever, I don't feel like it. It's fine. But part of you does care. Some of you does want to do it. So get curious with your brain. Here's the wonderful thing, everybody, is clutter. When you learn the skills to deal with your clutter, the skills that you learn to deal with your clutter aren't just solely skills that only apply to clutter. The skills that you use to declutter are going to be the skills that set you free in many other areas of your life. It has a positive ripple effect. And that's because, at least the way I teach it, is that it's a way of thinking. When you think about your stuff, you feel a certain way. When you feel a certain way, you do a certain thing. And what you're thinking, if you're not getting the results you want, I'm not saying it's all in your thoughts, but I want to say it's a good place to start. Why aren't you doing it? What are those last few items? What does it mean to be done? It's just get curious about what's behind, who's the man behind the curtain? What's going on behind the scenes that's giving you the result on the stage of your life? Is your life looking and feeling like you want it to? If yes, then you're doing stuff that's giving you what you want. But if not, for the love of God, get curious about it. And if you want to change it, change it. You can change those things. You can. And really what it is just deciding on so many levels for so many things, is deciding to not believe the thought that comes up immediately, to examine it, see what it's all about, and then instead create a better thought, a more helpful thought that gets you to complete that task, that gets you to show up every day this week for 20 minutes and doing decluttering. Today is Monday. If you showed up even just for 20 minutes of decluttering your home, surface clutter, laundry, dishes, whatever, by Friday when I do my final TikTok before the Memorial Day weekend, Memorial Day weekend's coming up, people, what I want to offer is think of how much better it would look even just by showing up 5 days in a row for 20 minutes. I bet you could do that, but I bet your brain is already giving you excuses as to why you can't do it. And those are what I mean when I talk about the thoughts that keep you stuck. It's the stop that keeps you going. What is that, 7-Eleven? All right. So many good questions here. I'm not going to have time to get to them all. What I want to offer is I am going to show up. I am showing up every day this week in the morning, different times. There's a posted, pinned post on my top of my TikTok page that shows every morning that I'm showing up. It's not going to be this early, but it's going to be 8:30, 8 o'clock, that type of thing. I'm also going to be showing up. So like on Wednesday, I will be at TikTok at 8 a.m., but then I go to my other things. So if you want to follow along, you can do that. Also, just have me running in the background as you do your decluttering. That can help. So I won't be able to get to all these questions, but I love that they're coming in. And I also want to thank people who are giving other folks who are struggling with clutter like you, giving them tips on what has worked for you. Okay? Yeah. I get so overwhelmed and then don't start cleaning, but yet the clutter is overwhelming me. Yep, tired mama. And if you're tired, I get it. Get yourself some rest, but also today, people, today's the day when you realize that you're going to reclaim your power from overwhelm. Okay. Do you notice how much that's come up today? That feeling of overwhelm, thought I'm overwhelmed makes you feel helpless. When you feel helpless, you do nothing. And then what does that do? It keeps you stuck, right? But if you say, no, I'm not going to be overwhelmed anymore. I just learned that in order to not be overwhelmed, I just need to look at things smaller. I'm not looking at the giant, wide angle lens. I'm going to focus down onto something I can control. I know what to do with it. I'm going to work on that for 20 minutes today. And it may not be perfect when I'm done. It better not be perfect, but it's going to be a hell of a lot better than it was before I started. Okay. And what do I want to say is just start today. And then tomorrow, you also say to yourself, today I'm not going to be overwhelmed. Today I know that in order to be not overwhelmed, I'm going to take that feeling, I'm going to take some deep breaths and say, I have control over it. Like I've got my little, pretend you've got your own little ball here and, your globe, because this is a good map to show you a whole bunch of stuff. But if I'm trying to get from like the East Coast of the US to the to the Pacific Ocean, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna carry this in my car. Like the chunking down is kind of like you putting the destination in your Google Maps and seeing the whole journey, but then starting where it says go left, go right, go left, go right, go left, go right. Right? There you go. Yeah, my son says he likes to clean with someone. That motivates him. I told him to listen to. Yeah, listen to me, listen to podcasts. Anything you can do, any habit you have that gets you the results you want, the way you want them to, then do it. I am open, like my clients, I work with them one-on-one to find a system that works for them, the way that their brain works, the way that their energy level, their time, all of that, How can I help my 8-year-old to declutter her bedroom, clothes and toys? Ask if she wants to donate them. That could be a good start. What I would also offer too, in that notion of donating, is even before then, does she have too much stuff in general? And I say too much, meaning that she has more of a quantity of items, and this is where it becomes like a math problem to me. Like, where does it all get stored so it doesn't look cluttered? Does she have enough storage area for what she has right now? Could you increase her storage if what she has already been pared down to the bare minimums? And I'm not even saying the bare minimums, like the things that she really cares about. The other thing too, and especially with kids and especially with all of us, is reframing that idea of donating as opposed to saying I'm giving away, I'm losing, I'm getting rid of, something from here is leaving. Remind her that there are kids out there that don't have any toys at all. Remind yourself that what isn't helping you could help somebody else. How do you declutter things that are valuable, such as vintage glassware from my grandmother? Okay, so kudos Husky. I'll say this. Look it up on eBay, look it up on Etsy, see how much people are paying for that glassware. And if you want to sell it, you're saying valuable, it has value to somebody. If it has value to you sentimentally, use it. Use it and think of your grandmother the whole time. But if it's not of value to you, it may be of value to somebody else. See what people are buying with it. Or, and then if you want to sell it, sell it. And if it's of no value, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but better that you hear it from me versus somebody else, is some of the stuff that the folks back in the day saved that they thought was valuable is no longer valuable in modern society. Oftentimes they would think of the stuff in the dining room, the silver, the china, the crystal, that type of stuff, the big old heavy hutch and dining tables. People don't live that way anymore, or very few do. So sadly, the stuff that they may have paid a lot of money for, people may not be buying now. Now, I'm not saying that's kind of a general statement, but what I want to offer is look and see what that stuff is worth to other people right now. And if it's not worth any money, then you can make a different decision about it. There you go. Leanne just said, I'm so happy I find you. I will spend 20 minutes decluttering today, and I know what to do. All right, show up tomorrow. There you go. My kid Samantha American doll is $2,500 on eBay. That's great. If you want to sell it, I bet maybe you can get that money. If you're not, whatever. But what I want to offer too is it may not be worth that forever. I say this because, okay, so my dad collected books. My dad passed away 13 years ago, and we just recently started to deaccession some of his items And some of these books, we were like, oh, those are the books. Those books are worth money. Nope. Nope. Could barely give them away because times change. The people who were collecting those books 20, 30, 40 years ago have all died. They've already got the books. New generations aren't interested in those books. I say this from personal experience to save you from thinking that like your nest egg is going to be in a doll or some china or stuff like that. It may not be the case. And if it's the case now, I mean, don't take me for like, financial advice, but if somebody's offering good money for something you have, I would sell it now. I personally would sell it now. I'm not saying that you should. I would sell it now when the market is good versus if things change. You might also the bottom could drop out of the doll market like Beanie Babies and then you just have a doll. Now if you just have a doll and you love it, that's fine. But if you want to make $2,500, that's another story. Okay? Yeah. All the clutter, the Lladró and the Capodimonte, Silver Spoons, all those collectibles. Yeah, that to me is when, and I have a Snow Dome collection of my own that are like the cheesy plastic ones. So I know that fun of collecting. But the thing about collecting, it's not so much having the collection. It was the process of accumulating it was the fun part. And then you're kind of stuck with the evidence. And then who wants to be stuck with the evidence of somebody else's stuff? I know when I used to thrift a lot, I would be in thrift stores and I would see that people had donated huge collections of like bells and creamers and stuff like that there. And it can be fun to collect, but then once you have the thing, it can be like, meh, yeah. I'm interested in those books. Well, they're all gone right now, but trust me. Just letting you know. I sold something cheap that was worth a great deal. Now it's hard to trust what I'm getting rid of. Okay, Samuel Jones. Do your research. Do your research and see what people are paying for it. The internet, this is the thing. So back in the day, pre-internet, when you would go thrifting or you would go like to antique shops and stuff like that, like knowledge is power. Knowing what stuff is worth used to only be in the heads of people who collected, who worked in the biz. Now we have the hive mind of eBay and Craigslist and all this kind of stuff to let you know what things are worth. Now, sometimes online, the values may be artificially inflated, but at least you know what you're getting yourself into. So you should be an educated person to know what your items are worth out on the open market. Okay. And chandeliers, please collect snowmen for Christmas decorations and still in love with them. Awesome. And there you go. Enjoy the stuff that you're doing. So what else do we got? Okay. So what am I thinking? So this week, all right, you guys, so we got like 8 minutes left. What are you going to do today to make your life your home look and feel like you want it to? I know myself. Let's see. I need to do some vacuuming. I have some dishes in the sink. I need to put in the dishwasher. I got a few like surfacey things to tidy up, but behind the scenes for me is pretty cool because I've done this decluttering. But I also know I have things that I can do that to make my life look and feel better. And the neat thing is that the skills that I have about taking the overwhelm and chunking it down and saying, what's the next step I can do? I can use that overwhelm of clutter approach to, for example, me making a few more TikTok videos, me editing those testimonials from my clients that I then want to get up on my website. What else do I have? Because I have it written down, here. Double checking with people on next week's coaching because next week is a holiday weekend, Oh, I want to order some stickers, all those little things. You can say, okay, what's the next step for me to do it? Not, oh my God, I don't know how to do that. That gets me nowhere. But when I've learned through decluttering to say, okay, if I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, I'm looking at it too big, what can I chunk things down? And what can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? And just rough it out and make yourself a list and then feel so good when you cross it off. Feel so good when you've shown up to do the things that you said you wanted to do for yourself. Feel so good, as Chuck Mangione says, like when you show up for yourself and say, I am going to build the life I deserve to live. I don't want to live in clutter anymore. I'm sick and tired of it. And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want to feel healthy and energetic. See the opposite there? So what can I do today to make this home look and feel like more like I want it to? Now, I know if you're living with other people that have their own clutter and stuff stories, that's going to be a different, a different approach. But what I want to say is focus on yourself right now. What are your habits with clutter? What do you have struggles with? And then maybe you have some empathy for some folks that live with you to realize they also have, a clutter and stuff story. Okay. My mom and I report back on every task daily, keeps us accountable. Awesome. Love it. I collect pressed pennies in a small tub, and there you go. See, and trust me, I am a collector. I have been a collector, and I come from a collector family, and I know that fun of collecting. But I also, honestly, I've been doing a lot of travel now, and that's where I used to do a lot of my collecting. I would do vintage souvenirs and things like that. But what I realize is I still enjoy looking at the stuff, but I don't feel the need to buy it. But the neat thing is I always give myself the opportunity to say, if I really want something, I'm going to get it. Like, for example, I just thought of this. So if you look over here, where am I? So see on this wall right here, I've got this thing that says happiness. So my husband and I were in Sarasota, Florida. Sarasota? St. Pete? Anyhow, not Sarasota. What's the other one? Tampa, St. Pete. We were in St. Petersburg. And I saw that on my morning walk when I was doing my morning walk from our hotel on a number of things. And then somebody told me a wonderful story about it. And then we just happened to park in front of this store that sold them. And so I got one of those because it made me feel good. And when I'm doing my coaching, it always, kind of sets the tone for the room that I want. So it's not like I don't ever buy stuff, but instead of all the stuff that I'm like, well, I guess I could buy another one of these to add to my collection. Like, notice the energy is kind of like, meh, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, it's a good story. It goes to a good cause. I'm totally buying it. Okay, see, you live there and I see them all the time. And it made me feel cool. It was like, what's this story? So not having clutter doesn't mean you're on a diet for the rest of your life and you don't get to eat the fun stuff. But what you do is you say, am I gonna just wait for the good stuff? Or I'm going to fill up my life with a bunch of kind of, Yadro and trinkets and things like that, because when you figure out what's really important to you, you're okay with having space because you make space for those important things to come in. All right. So I just want to offer that. So yeah. So again, my name is Beth, but I'd much rather you remember destination decluttered. Okay. What is your destination? What is your future delightful? What is your home look and feel like when you want it to look and feel like it does? Okay. Yeah. Does it enrich my life? And only you, this is a great thing. This is the thing I love about when I do my one-on-one coaching on Zoom, is there is no way that I can physically, mentally force you to do anything. Now, of course, that's frustrating sometimes when I see my clients struggling, but it's up to you to decide, to making a decision about what's important to you. What isn't important to you, what was important to you at a certain point in your life and maybe not important to you anymore. And that's okay. That is okay. I used to collect a lot of stuff. And then I realized at a certain point, I'm like, no, you know what? That was kind of fun, but I'm done now. And I'm going to pass along those things. I'm going to donate those things so other people who are still in collector mode can enjoy them. Okay. Hubs wants to manage everyone's clutter, not his own. Makes the rest of us stubborn to get rid of course, because you know what? Nobody wants to be told, clean up your stuff, and especially from somebody who doesn't deal with their own stuff. So I would recommend everybody kind of work on their own stuff, your husband included, because he's got a story and he's not dealing with his own. And everybody's got a stuff story. I got a stuff story. And you've got a stuff story, and you've got a stuff story, and you've got a stuff story, right? We all have stories that keep us attached to items or not attached to items. And the thing that I want to offer is kind of in conclusion for today, as I sign off in like 2 minutes, is just look at your home today and look at the stuff you have. And you say, does it bring me joy? Does it make my life easier? Does it make my life better? Whatever better is to you. Does it make it better? Or is it getting in the way? Is it like you're driving towards better, but all this crap is piled up in front of your car, right? What I want to offer is you deserve better. If your life isn't the way you want it to be, you deserve better. And better can be very simple. Better can be, there's no clutter on the floor. Better can be the counters are cleared. Better can be, cleaning out the expired, food in your pantry. Better can be realizing that you don't want to wear those clothes anymore, so you donate them. You know, I have my mom's stuff, but smells so musty and I don't want to keep it because of it. Or should I? You just said you don't want to keep it. I can't answer that for you. And I say this, you know what, KK, I say this with compassion and love. It's a decision. Decluttering is a decision we all have to make. I can't give the answers. I can give options. I give suggestions. I give options. And it's like, here, try this. How about this? Think about it this way. But at the end of the day, it's you making a decision. And the decision you make should be the one that aligns with what's important to you, the life you want, and what you want your destination decluttered to look and feel like. What do you want your life to look and feel like? What do you want your home to look and feel like? Okay. Teresa, that's great. Everybody, I see some people just signing in. Unfortunately, I am just signing off because I've got a busy day today. But what I want to offer is if you like and follow my TikTok page here this week, not every week, but this week I'm showing up on TikTok every single day in the morning. There's a pinned post on the top of my TikTok page. And there's days too that I'm also showing up on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So follow me along, check in, let me know, accountability partner, show up tomorrow and tell me the great stuff you did tomorrow, and we'll do it the next day and the next day. Okay. And, you know what? You got this. You can do it. 20 minutes today. Set a timer on your phone for 20 minutes, do some decluttering, and it's going to feel so much better. Okay. I will see you folks tomorrow. Bye.